there, how are you? This is Loise. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're well and healthy wherever you are. Today's video is about the community of Sudbury, Ontario in relation to the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot. If this is your first time here, you're welcome. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. My information in these videos is for your information purposes only. Should you need any legal advice, if you need help with your immigration application, if you have any questions, if you need help maneuvering this immigration thing, please send me an email and book a consultation and I will be happy to help you out. Okay? So the community of Sudbury, Ontario actually started taking applications, and this community is among the 5 communities from Ontario that are participating in the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot. As we know, this pilot has 11 communities. Majority of them now have started taking applications from candidates. We still have, I think, about 3 which haven't started. And tomorrow's video actually is going to be talking about another community in Ontario called Attendants that also has started taking applications. So please stay tuned for that video because you want to look at that video. As you know, as we've talked in the past, these are small communities that are attracting immigrants from Canada and outside Canada to come and fill on their labor shortages so that they can boost their economic growth. Okay, so this community of Sudbury, you need to look at it, you need to do some research, see whether this is the community for you, see whether you are the person for this community, because see, you must be a great fit for this community and this community needs to be a great fit for you. Okay, all right, a little bit about this community. I'll be talking about a little bit about the community and the requirements to apply to this, to come to this community, and everything else that you may need to know, just so that you know how to prepare and you know whether it can give you an idea of whether this is the community for you and whether this is a program for you. Okay, all right, so this community of Sudbury, we already said it's in Ontario, Canada. You know where Ontario is. It's in the eastern part of Canada, and the Greater Sudbury is centrally located in the northeastern part of Ontario, and it's home to about 165,000 people. It's also about 4 hours drive from Toronto. So that is the location and the population of Sudbury. This community is quite multicultural, and it's truly a bilingual community. You're going to find that Sudbury is home to the 3rd largest French population outside of Quebec. And that I mean that approximately 38% of the community here is bilingual. So if you speak English and French, you're going to stand very high chances of immigrating to this community. It doesn't mean that that's all, that you must speak both languages, but then again, if you speak both languages, then you're going to stand very high chances of immigrating here. All right. The lifestyle here is really good because this community offers lower housing cost. Of course, it's not a big community like it's not a big city like Toronto or Ottawa. So the housing costs are low and actually has some of the lowest taxes in Ontario. Okay, so the Greater Sudbury is a wonderful combination of urban amenities and natural assets. It's also a world-class mining center. You're going to find that the city mining companies employ approximately 6,000 people, and they do support a 300 company mining supply and services sector cluster that employs another 10,000 people. Okay, so to apply to this community, as we've said, you're going to need 3 parts. You need 3 parts. You need to satisfy 3 parts to be able to apply to this community, you need to meet the federal requirements of the Rural Northern Immigration Program. We talked about that. That is the video that I'll be attaching at the description part of this video, so that you know what are the federal requirements for all these programs. That is regarding age, regarding education, regarding English, regarding finances, etc. They are in that video. We've already addressed that. So you need to meet the federal requirements for the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot. You're going to need to get yourself a job or secure an offer of employment in an eligible occupation, in an eligible industry in this community. That is the second requirement you're going to meet. And the third, you're going to meet the community requirements, because the federal has its own, the community has its own, and then you must get a job. Okay? So I want to talk about point number 2 about getting a job, because these people, they are very specific. They've talked about eligible occupation in an eligible industry. So between February 2020 and October 31st, 2020, this year, until October 31st, they have identified eligible industries and eligible occupations. And those are the only ones that are going to participate in this pilot for that period of time. So please pay attention. Which are these eligible industries? They are the mining, supplies, and services sectors. And the people who can apply in these industries, they are that sector is open to applicants who are living in Sudbury right now, and also candidates who are living abroad. So this is the opportunity for you. If you're living abroad, this is the sector that you should be looking at. That is mining, supply, and services sector. The other sector that is eligible is the tourism sector. Okay? Tourism sector, it's also open to applicants who are living in Sudbury and applicants who are living abroad. So also, if you're in the tourism sector and you're living abroad, Sudbury is a good place that you should be looking at. Okay? Number 3 is any other sector. You can still participate in any other sector, but that is only open to candidates who are living in Sudbury. Okay, so you need to know where you fall, whether you can apply. So if you're outside of those 2 sectors that I talked about there, then and you're not living in Sudbury, you should not be applying in this community during this time. Okay, all right. So we also have the eligible occupations for primary applicants. And when I say primary applicants, that is the principal applicant. And this eligible occupations, they are NOC code 3413, and that is our nurse aides, orderlies, and patient service associates. Okay, then we have NOC code 4412, which is home support workers, housekeepers, and related occupations. Then we have NOC code 6322 for cooks. We have NOC code 6711, that is for food counter attendants, kitchen helpers, and related support occupations. Independent restaurants only. Franchises are not eligible. Okay? And the last one is NOC code 7511 for transport truck drivers. So those are the eligible occupations for this period. Okay? All right, so we've already identified the 3 things that you must meet. So how is this community taking recommendations? They have an assessment factor point, and you must meet the minimum cutoff. And the minimum cutoff for married people is 115 points, and for a single person is 85 points out of 640. Okay? Yes, so candidates here are going to be assessed based on their intention to live and work in the Greater Sudbury after they receive PR. Remember, I said for these communities, for these pilot programs, you are obligated to live here, so you must demonstrate the fact that you're going to live and work in this community after you get your PR, and you're not going to use this program just to enter Canada and then move to another province. Okay, then the candidates are going to recommend it using the point-based system, and this is for the candidates who will be able to contribute to an urgent or important need in Sudbury's local economy, and those who will build strong relationships in this community with the community members. Okay, so again, as I have said, the higher the score, the higher the chances you get. I just want to mention that on April 23rd, Sudbury actually held its first draw for this pilot program, and guess what? They gave out 6 invitations, and the points there that they gave out was 280. That is the minimum. The minimum points were 280 points for 6 invitations. Guess what? As much as they say that the cutoff is 115, you can see that the minimum that they picked out was 280. This is why I tell people the higher your chances, the better, because competition is high. So you need to make sure that your game is strong, okay? Because you're going to be competing. So if you do your points calculation and you find that you have about 280, then you stand very high chances of getting an invitation for this community, okay? All right. So what is this point system? What is it based on? It's based on 3 main categories, and the first category is on human capital for the primary applicant, that is the principal applicant, and this part is giving you about a maximum of 195 points. That is the human capital for the primary applicant. Then there's a human capital for the spouse or the common law partner that has a maximum of 165 points. And then there's the third part, which is knowledge of the community and the intention to reside here, that has a maximum of 280 points. And those 3 combined, they have a maximum of 640 points. So again, I talked about the minimum cutoffs. With spouse, if you're married, the minimum cutoff points are 115, and if you're single, the minimum cutoff points are 85 points. Which are these human capital? Just so that you may know what is human capital points. They look at things like age, they look at work experience, they look at language, and they look at priority occupations. Remember, we've already talked about the priority occupations and the priority industry, so please refer to that. Okay, so I just want to say that despite the COVID-19 restrictions, Sudbury Rural Northern Immigration Pilot is accepting applications from people who are abroad. So this is not going to be a hindrance. If you're abroad and you have a job offer in Sudbury in this priority occupations, then Sudbury is taking applications and it's processing applications. The processing time is between 12 months and 18 months. Okay? 12 months and 18 months. That is the processing time. I also want to let you know something good. Unlike the express entry that gives priority to younger people, this community is giving priority to people between 36 and 45 years, simply because they want people with over 10 years of work experience. They're facing labor shortages and they need people with good work experience. So the people who are between 36 and 45 years, they are getting up to 20 points. Okay, so go through your profile. If you want us to go through your profile to come up with a point system and advise you on the best thing to do, please again send us an email. Send me an email, book a consultation. I will be happy to work with you. I'll be happy to direct you and tell you exactly what you need to do. Okay? All right. I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty, like those details of just how many points you're going to get for work experience. No, I won't do that. It's too much. It's quite detailed. This program here is quite detailed, but at least now you have an idea of what you need to be doing. Remember, the first and the most important thing you need to do is make sure that you meet the federal needs, the federal requirements. Do your language, do your ECAs, get your finances ready, and after that, look for a job in this community. After you get a job, then get into the point system. After you get into the point system, if you meet the minimum requirements, then you may be considered. Meeting the minimum requirements doesn't mean, even meeting those points does not mean that you're guaranteed to be considered, but then you may be considered. Again, the higher your points, the better. So make sure you have good language skills. Don't just go for the minimum. No, do the best you can do. Okay, I just wanted to mention that when this community said about knowledge of this community, I was going through those points and I saw that they are really talking about, which is not mandatory, but you need to show that you have maybe a previous visit to Sudbury, you have relatives in Sudbury, you have experience in learning something while studying in Sudbury, or you've resided in Sudbury before. But again, those are not the only points that you can get if you are in the primary occupations that are needed in this community, and you can get to the points that these people need. You are on your way to settling in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. Okay, thank you so much. Again, I said tomorrow I'm addressing the community of Timmins, so please keep it here and be safe.